My name is Peter.
My name is Roman.
My name's Joan.
And my name is Carl.
My name is Luke. And we're here today on C.L.A.R.O's podcast to basically talk about numerous different things in regards to districts in Orihuela Costa and many more different things. So let's begin off by saying how many districts are there in Orihuela Costa?
Oh, there's two. There's
two
yes,
districts.
yes.
Yeah.
But I think at the moment they're wanting to make it into one.
Right.
Is that correct?
Well, the thing is, two districts are a bit contrary, because if one district gets a recycling depot, also the other district also needs it. So really, it's always a decision for both districts to come into one to make more sense. Otherwise, you would need one recycling system in one district and one in the other, and this is financially not viable, really. So it's much better if there was just one district, and it's easier to govern and for the needs of the people of both districts, then, so to speak.
Yeah, so it's much more easier. And which district numbers is it?
It is Orihuela is a big city, and there are 11 districts in Orihuela. Orihuela Costa, with 1/3 of the population, has got two, number 10 and number 11. Everybody in the districts now recognize that it is silly to have two. We need one, and the next meeting, the 4th of October at 5 o'clock, there is going to be a joint committee, both districts together, and the mayor has the obligation to attend this meeting. It will be at the town hall in Orihuela Costa, and we ask everybody in Orihuela Costa to attend that joint committee. It is very important to listen to what the mayor has to say about the cultural center, why the rubbish has been so bad this summer, and why Orihuela Costa, the city of Orihuela Costa, is being treated as a colony. We are not slaves, we are people, and we are not being treated properly.
No, it's a very good point to make.
So just let me say that this meeting, we do need a lot of people to voice their opinions, and it is on the 4th of October at 5 o'clock. Is that right? 5 o'clock?
Yep, in Orihuela City.
In the town hall.
In the town hall.
In the town hall of Orihuela Costa.
Okay, Orihuela Costa Town Hall. And so basically in terms of the districts, does there just have to be two districts in every area, or could it be 4 districts, 1 district? Does it necessarily just have to be 2 districts?
Nobody knows why 2 districts, because Orihuela Center, with the same number of people, they have 4. And there are small villages with 2,000 people, and they are 1 district. Why Orihuela Costa 2 districts? Most likely they thought that would be a way to weaken our position. Orihuela Costa, they thought we are going to split it in 2, and so that they don't have much power, but it is unworkable. It is not possible to rule Orihuela Costa from a place 33 kilometers away with 2 districts. It should be only 1 district, and even more. It should be an ente local menor. It means to have our own councillors, our own budget, and our own territory.
Yes, that is long overdue.
Definitely.
Yes.
And is there any more thoughts on this particular topic?
Well, it's like it was said, no one actually really knows, but from my personal view, it was designed to weaken Orihuela Costa, because we are the most influential financially of Orihuela. 62% of the council's income comes from Orihuela Costa. So it was designed to weaken them, but my view is doing the opposite. It's uniting every citizen in Orihuela Costa.
Yes, indeed.
And
Yes,
the day
we
is
agree.
coming.
Totally. And any other thoughts on this?
Well, no, I personally think one district, everybody combined together, is a much better idea.
Yeah,
You know, and
much more stronger.
yeah, of course it's stronger because one is stronger, isn't it?
Mm.
And also financially, you know, it has to be better.
Well, I think the reason which brought this otherwise to ahead was that on the last meeting the two districts were, they asked some councillors to come from Orihuela City, and they didn't even bother turning up. So the people here, there's another insult to the people in the coast, and that's why all the parties here and the various associations have come together and decided they would rather have just one position rather than two.
Yeah, to unify as one.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
And obviously, by having two separate districts, what does this do to us in terms of costs or financial outgoings or incomings?
Well, each district had 60,000 euros to spend. What's the problem? Orihuela Center with 4 districts, they had 240,000 euros. Orihuela Costa, with the same number of people, we had half that amount, 120,000. They are treating us basically as third-class human beings. We are not. The time has come to get together and go the 4th of October at 5 o'clock and show that we are not silly people. We care about our city, Orihuela Costa, and we want Orihuela Costa to be treated properly. We put 60% of the money and we get less than 20%. An example, the cultural center, the musical school, a library, auditorium, they have at least 6 in Orihuela Center, and we have none. 5,000 children under 18 years old with 80% failure at school, and they don't have even a library. The time has come to everybody to get together and fight for the rights of the city of Orihuela Costa.
It's a very good point.
Yeah, can I just ask, where do the school children get their books from?
Well, if they are rich enough, they buy them.
They buy them, but
If they are not, they might get from the school a second used by other children. If they are poor, because many people are poor in Orihuela Costa, they find a way to get a book. They cannot get it from a library because there is none. It is incredible. We are the only place in Europe with more than 30,000 people living all year round without this facility.
Without proper services.
And the person who is responsible is the mayor of PP, the mayor of Orihuela, member of PP, Mr. Emilio Vascuñana. The 4th of October, we are going to meet up with him. Please attend, because even the price of your house, if a proper cultural center is built, the price of your house will go up. The houses will be more valuable, the streets will be cleaner, and we will have proper facilities, not these third-class facilities we have now when we pay more than the average city in Spain.
No, it's a very good
Yeah.
point, because I've heard so many citizens of Orihuela Costa saying that we are pretty much a second-class
yeah.
citizens, and obviously it makes sense. It's sort of like a domino effect where if we had the proper financial input, obviously we could invest in cultural centres, proper medical centres, schools, so on. And like you said, in turn, that can actually affect your house price. So everyone's benefiting.
Of course, it makes
Yeah.
it a more attractive place to live in,
Yeah,
doesn't
exactly,
it?
yeah.
And
You
also,
know?
I think we really have to focus on the children, because they're your tomorrow.
It's their
You
future,
know,
yeah,
if you
yeah.
don't look after the children, and if they don't get the right education, you know, what are they going to do in their future and for the future of the whole of the coast, really,
That's a good
and
point.
and for Spain.
Yeah,
very
but
good
all,
You know.
the Mayor of Orihuela, all he has to do is put his signature on documents to get things started, like the cultural centre.
Exactly.
If he put the signature on today, he's got €60,000.
50.
Sorry,
50,000.
he's got €50,000 to do a feasibility study. But once he's got 1 year, I believe, after he signed that document, to get it started.
Well, I guess the man must have a very busy life not to sign any documents.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but only affects Orihuela Costa because they are going to spend 20 million euros in Orihuela Center over next 4 years and nothing whatsoever in Orihuela Costa. It is time for Orihuela Costa to fight for our own future. Even if I have a restaurant or a shop, I will have to fight because if people live here all year round, there will be more business all year round. A person living here 9 months instead of 3 months is the same than 36 tourists coming 1 week.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes all the
Indeed.
difference.
So
Yes,
you really have to look after the people that are living here.
definitely.
You
It's,
know,
it's,
not just the expats.
Well,
everybody.
Well, yeah, it's not
Yeah.
just residents, it's
Yeah.
non-residents and holiday makers. It's everyone
everybody.
would benefit
Yeah.
from having a much nicer area to visit
Of
more
course, yeah.
often.
Yeah.
And like I said, longer.
Mm.
And obviously, just touching a little bit more about combining the districts, is it feasible to combine the two districts together? Is it really easy to do?
Well,
Yeah.
has it been done with others?
It is very simple. The only thing they need to do is to ask for it. And we have asked for that. The 4th of October, the two districts in Orihuela Costa are going to get together. Hopefully, the mayor will come around and we will explain us why he's treating Orihuela Costa as a colony.
Mm.
Hopefully. It is very easy, but that depends on people in Orihuela Costa. If people do not bother, they will not have the right to complain. If people do bother and register on the padrón and register to vote, we will live in the best place in the world.
Definitely.
That depends on the people.
Definitely. Is there any other thoughts?
Well, it
No.
make a lot of difference for the families which live here, wasn't it? If it's an attractive place which has a cultural centre, an emergency centre, and all the other facilities which a normal little town would have, which Orihuela has as a city, it would be a great difference here.
Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah.
And so, by having two districts in Orihuela Costa, could that really affect the location of the elections, or is the location of the elections, local elections, is that dependent on Orihuela itself?
The last time we had to vote, they did it in such a way that it was so confusing that people didn't know where to vote. Hopefully, they will have C.L.A.R.O because C.L.A.R.O complained about that, and they promised to split the places so that people don't need to go 6 kilometers away to vote. Hopefully, but being like we know PP, most likely they will try to invent some kind of thing to make it confusing. People in Orihuela Costa, they need to understand that if they want a proper place to live, they need to fight for it, because no one is going to give them anything.
Exactly, yeah. And am I correct in thinking that there's more locations now for you to vote in? Is there 5 locations?
I think there's 5.
5.
I think there
don't
was
know
5, and I think there was talk,
of
I think from
putting
11 or
another one.
something.
Oh, wow.
You know,
So they're going to nearly double it, but
Well,
that in
that was
itself
just
going to cause a lot of
but
confusion.
that was
Yeah.
just hearsay as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
so whether that happens, who knows?
Exactly, we'll see what happens. And that's actually a good question, is how do you find out where your nearest
Let's face it.
voting station is? How do you know?
That's very easy because the government will send you a letter telling you where you have to vote.
But then some people have issues receiving letters.
Yeah, and also there is a problem with if it is 4 kilometers away and you don't have a car, then that's a problem.
Exactly.
And for instance, I had to vote 7 kilometers away from home, when 100 meters away we had a facility to vote.
And why do you think this is? Is this to displace the residents in Orihuela Costa from voting, or is it just an error, a mistake?
It is no error. This is a way completely. They don't want people to vote. But if we care about the place where we live, we have to vote.
Exactly, yeah.
And we have to tell PP and Citizens Party that they are not welcome in Orihuela Costa because they are treating us as a colony.
And also in the last 12 years, both the parties, the big parties from Orihuela, the only time you see them is a few months before the election. They appear with all their promises. Then once they're in power, none of it happens.
And then rinse and repeat.
Yeah, you know, and it has repeated itself every election, the same story really. And I'm surprised that people still vote for them.
But people forget.
It's amazing.
They've got such short memories.
Yeah, but we have to tell people now, sort of, you're seeing people repairing the gardens, doing a little bit of road work, doing a little bit of general maintenance. But people out there have to understand, especially PP, because they expect to lose several seats at the next election, they're getting worried. So now this is all purely cosmetic, ready for the next elections.
Exactly.
And obviously you put the argument across of people forget. Do you think it's not just because they forget, but they maybe they don't know who else to vote for? Maybe they just select that first one because that's all they know, but they don't know that there's other political groups.
Yeah, I think in one respect you're right, because PP are so sort of there in your face, aren't they? So if people haven't got any idea or they don't know what's going on,
you
they've
just sort of guess and you
but
just
would,
Yeah. I think what
personally,
happens
would you go to a polling station and just vote because you saw that one party? You'd do a little bit of research, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And I think that's where CLARO is sort of way up higher on the list there of being out there and trying to tell
Communicate with the
people,
people. Yeah.
Definitely.
you know, what we're doing for the best of the interest of everybody.
Well, this is it. You know, politics aside, obviously, you know, it's not just about our objectives, but just the general consensus of, you know, we need proper roads, we need proper facilities, and
Yeah,
you know,
but
we need to be a proper town.
yeah, but CLARO members actually live on the coast.
Yes.
We live here.
You
We don't
experience
live.
it. Yeah.
We don't live
Exactly.
33 kilometres. So when we wake up in the morning, we see the damaged roads. We see the gardens being reclaimed by nature.
And
When
the
it
rubbish.
rains, the rubbish,
Yeah.
the floods. So we see the same thing what everybody else does on the
Well,
coast.
there's not a lot of planning in infrastructure.
Definitely.
It's a case of build buildings, loads and loads of them, and then later on when there's kind of floods or whatever, then oh dear, we forgot to increase the sewage works and what have you.
So yeah, build
But-
first, ask questions later.
Exactly.
Well, I
yeah.
think that's
Because
one,
that's where the money
yeah,
comes from,
I think
isn't
that's
it?
one thing that really annoys me is when they build all these properties and they seem to let the builder do what he wants. I mean, he builds the properties and he leaves the mess on the road outside.
They
doesn't
ruin the
he?
road.
Ruin the
Yeah.
road. There's potholes and dirt and
Because
everything
obviously in
left.
England, you wouldn't be allowed to do that in the
Of
UK.
course not. You have to
Or,
do your
I assume
infrastructure.
France and,
Your
yeah.
infrastructure comes first, and then you're building, and then the clearing up. But I mean, here it's completely
They seem
different.
to
The
get away with
the
it.
builders seem. I think the builders are sort of like little gods. Whether they're sort of giving out little backhanders to people,
Well,
I've
I
no
think
idea.
They run the
You
show.
know, but,
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
and also, what's really worrying is all these new properties. Is what about the sewage? I mean, that's a major thing, isn't it? You know, if they haven't planned for that, which you
And the
can
water
see.
supply.
Yes,
Well, yeah, it's the water, the sewage, the roads. It's the whole infrastructure which hasn't been planned. So,
Exactly.
Have you any thoughts on this particular topic?
Well, they spend 1 million euros more than that in a musical school in Orihuela. More than 1 million euros for parties in Orihuela. More than 1 million euros for libraries, concerts, and everything in Orihuela. And nothing whatsoever in Orihuela Costa. Yesterday we had a concert in Playa Flamenca Beach. They decided to cancel it and they moved the concert to a church. It is incredible that here we use the churches for that when in Orihuela city they have more than 6 cultural centers and they are going to build one more
So there's 7 there would be 7
or
altogether.
8. That depends how you count it. And it is incredible
It's incredible. Yeah.
that they think the more cultural center, the more culture for everyone. When we are 30 kilometers away and we have nothing whatsoever.
It's shocking.
It is shocking. I mean, I don't want to sort of deprive Orihuela of whatever. You know, I'm all for being fair. You know, I like fairness.
Well, in that case,
that's my big thing.
Well, in that case, we need some fair compensation.
Yeah, if only there were sort of people like us in Orihuela that were thinking about fairness so that we could have a better way of life here.
So the whole
Exactly.
municipality would gain by it.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
so.
Not just in one place where they 3 times they make the square over.
Yeah.
They have a beautiful square. 2 years later, all up, we'll make it, redo it. Why? It makes no sense.
And this is actually
It's just to spend money. I think it's just to keep various
spending money.
peoples in work.
Well,
you know.
well, this actually brings me on to councillors. Obviously, there's been a lot of stories about councillors not turning up for important meetings. What do you think about this?
Well, I will say that we have had many meetings with many councillors, and everything they say never is done. They say we are going to do this, we are going to do that, and after 1 year, nothing is done. They are worried that if they provide us with facilities, we will become independent. CLARO thinks Orihuela Costa should have financial autonomy, which means that the money we provide, it is spent on Orihuela Costa.
Exactly.
This is what we should do.
So basically, we would benefit a lot
If
from
we are
financial autonomy.
if we are stronger, the whole of Orihuela will be stronger.
Exactly. Because
But
we'll
what
be
they
able
are
to
doing-
produce more.
What they are doing is to push us against Orihuela because we see the facilities they have and we see the facilities we don't have. The idea of CLARO is to have an ente local menor. It means to have our own councillors, our own money, and our own territory within Orihuela.
and to basically progress as a town.
Yeah, I think that if they are not careful, it will happen the same with Pilar de la Horadada. It will happen the same with Torrevieja, San Miguel de Salinas, Guardamar del Segura. We will be an independent city if they keep treating us like that.
It's kind of funny how it's counterintuitive for Orihuela to be treating us like this.
Exactly.
It doesn't make
yeah.
any sense, but
Yeah, because-
here we are.
Because if we had our own money, I mean, we'd have a lot of money to do really a lot of nice work,
A lot of
and the
good.
place would be beautiful.
be attracting
and
tourists.
We could attract tourists. We could
Exactly.
put things on that people would come just to. We have loads of ideas that we could attract tourists with. You know, they go to different locations to see things. There's nothing here on the coast for people to see.
Apart from
Well,
being-
You know.
even for residents as well.
There
There's
is
not
there.
very much. It's just
There's no culture. I mean, where do you go if you want to see a play or an opera
well, this is it.
or
I mean,
anything?
I mean, really,
There's
when you look at
nothing.
it, when you look
you
at it,
know.
it's just bars, pubs, restaurants,
Yes.
and maybe one or
Yes.
two different
Exactly.
shops. But
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
This year,
nothing.
this summer, restaurants and these kind of businesses, they have done very well. Not very well at all.
Not surprised.
Because people come here and they say the lack of facilities, they see the rubbish all over and they do not come back again.
Exactly.
If business people they want to have business all year round, they need to join CLARO and they need to fight for Orihuela Costa.
Exactly.
We need facilities so that we provide people all year round, not only in summer, with facilities like exhibitions, concerts, library, musical school, language school, courses for people who do not have a job. We need to provide that, and people will stay here, and in return they will provide more business for everyone.
Exactly.
And the beaches need to have a lot more amenities, you know, that people come on holiday.
Because other countries offer it,
they,
so people will go there, you know.
Yeah.
You've got to have Wi-Fi on the beaches, you've got to have...
Well, we do love live in a modern time.
yeah,
so
exactly.
it
You know,
makes
you've got to
sense.
have some cubicles that people can go in and change and leave their belongings, lock up ones, and there's lots of things. And if we had our money, we would provide these things, you know, so people think, oh, I'm going to go back there because...
There's got to be
you know,
entertainment for.
So basically, there's
Yeah.
more than just, you know, having drinks and having food. You can do much more potentially
you
if
can,
we
yeah.
had financial autonomy.
Yeah, but the thing is, I mean,
Very
if we
much.
do too good a job, like it keeps coming up. That's why they're making it difficult. If we make it too good, people won't live, and we'll be a lot
But
stronger.
if we sort of had our own finances and did really well, the Orihuela
Would also gain by it.
they would gain by it.
I know, but they don't see the picture like that.
No.
Yeah, no.
They just look at us as
That's what I said
a
is-
money making machine for Orihuela.
That's why I said it's counterintuitive, because it makes no sense
No.
whatsoever what they're doing at the moment.
They just think, oh, we're making 60% from Orihuela Costa. They don't think about a bigger picture. They
I
just
think
see that the money.
Orihuela has been, it's still living in the past.
Yeah.
It's that fine land,
Mm.
and they more or less just see their own
They're
little,
blinkered, aren't they?
their own little
You know,
circle.
really
Exactly.
blinkered.
This
Yeah.
is all they can see,
Yeah.
and they haven't really moved with the times
No.
to embrace
Mm.
on what tourism actually means. I mean, they have no idea how to run tourism.
No.
All they do is they print leaflets
Yeah.
Yeah.
or plant some palm trees. That's not tourism, you know. These days you got to do much better.
There's more to it.
You
Yeah.
know, you got to be able to offer the tourists a reason to come.
Mm.
Exactly.
But I think that
The-
fiasco with the bars.
Exactly.
We-
a
they-
good
For
example.
instance, yes.
Yeah.
They forget that the best tourist is the resident.
Exactly.
If we have a resident that instead of being 3 months spends 1 year, that's 9 months equal to 36 weeks. So that resident, it is equal to 36 tourists. Why to look for tourists when they come, the only thing they see is rubbish, they don't have anything to do, and they will not come back again. And the people who live here, we are the ones who suffer. PP is a very old party and hasn't changed a bit, has not learned.
No, they're
They
very
lost Pilar de la Horadada, and if they keep in that way, they will lose Orihuela Costa. Sooner we will be called Costa Campo Amor or something like that.
That would be nice.
Yeah, if they are not careful, Orihuela Costa will become independent. We, CLARO, we don't want Orihuela Costa to be independent just now. We want to run our own place. That cannot be run 33 kilometers away by councillors who do not live here and who do not bother about us and who try to treat us as slaves in a colony.
Well, there's actually something coming up that everyone can partake in, which is the meeting from Orihuela on the 4th of October, is it? So if you talk a little bit more about that, and maybe people might be more interested to...
Yeah, the
participate.
4th of October, the mayor of Orihuela, Mr. Emilio Vascuñana, has been requested to attend a joint committee districts 10 and 11 at 5 o'clock. People are welcome to attend, to listen to what he has to say. Another chance to listen to a person who promises a lot but never delivers anything. We have the emergency center, and still there waiting for him to sign a piece of paper. It is incredible, but do not forget, the 4th of October, 5 o'clock, Town Hall, Orihuela Costa. If you care about Orihuela Costa, you need to be there. For your children, for your own sake.
Because really, this is obviously one good way to build up the pressure and show that it's not just C.L.A.R.O, it's actual residents of Orihuela Costa who are interested in our town.
Yeah.
C.L.A.R.O is not a political party as such. We are a group of people that instead of drinking beer and going to the beach, we work for the benefit of our people. We are, doesn't matter whether you are right, left, center, what we care is about things for Orihuela Costa.
Yeah, just
You
for
are
the
welcome
residents.
to
Yeah.
join us.
That's very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Any other thoughts?
I think that winds the whole thing really up nicely. It says what we're about. That C.L.A.R.O is not a particular political party which is left, right, centre, but we're a party,
just for the
all
people.
volunteers,
All for
which
the
just
people.
Just basically
want the best thing for the residents and for the people on the coast.
Exactly, and we just need to really start creating that pressure and just pushing those valid points to Orihuela and the people of Orihuela Costa. But obviously, really as well, the main thing as well that we really need to talk about is the wastage of the money that Orihuela Costa generates for Orihuela and how little investment and maintenance we receive because of that money. What's your thoughts on that?
We saw them on the different assessors.
Yes,
For instance, if C.L.A.R.O manages to get into power, we will get rid of the advisors. We spend €500,000 every year on people advising councillors and more than 4 million in advisors outside the government. These €500,000, we don't need to have advisors. If you are good at what you are doing, you don't need an advisor. And if you need it, you hire one for 1 month for a particular issue. Just by that, we can save €500,000. It is impossible to run a city spending so much money in parties. €1 million and more than 1 million in school, a musical school, and having 8 cultural centers where nobody goes. It is impossible. It is now they wanted to create a new one, 600,000, and now they realize that they need 200,000 more. We C.L.A.R.O think they will need €1 million. How can be so naive, spending so much money?
It's a lot of money.
And when we in Orihuela Costa, we live 30,000 people with no facilities whatsoever. This PP, if the money was their money, they wouldn't run it this way.
Yeah, so
I
basically
think
there is
they-
just a big mismanagement of funds.
There is. They
Yeah.
should be ashamed of themselves, really, shouldn't they?
Yes.
That they give us so little and they have so much.
Yeah, but that's
You know.
why over the years they actually have lost seats. After each election they've lost some, and they're getting weaker and weaker because even the people from Orihuela start to realise that the party is mismanaging it so badly.
Yeah,
Yes,
and
but-
and am I correct in thinking that really there's about €4 million being mismanaged, being wasted?
Well,
Thereabouts?
the budget, we've studied the budget, very confusing because you really cannot understand it. It is a very confusing way to present the budget. But we think that at least 25% of that money could be saved, could be used to reduce the debt, which is about €23 million. And we could be used, for instance, the restaurant, the bars in the beach. Now they are going to get €800,000. Why is that with that money they do not build a cultural center? No, they are going to build a new cultural center in Orihuela Center when they have already 5, 6 or 7. It is incredible. They spend money, they say, we are going to spend €6 million in cleaning the rubbish. have you seen your street any better? There is rubbish everywhere. It is incredible.
Yes, definitely. And any last thoughts or opinions on about the funding, the mismanagement?
Well, I think the way we have sort of found out from different people now on how the mismanagement goes, it just speaks for itself, really.
Definitely.
And I hope that the people which will hear this podcast will actually come to the conclusion that they really will have to
Vote with their feet.
register to vote and go to vote in May when it comes
And
up.
also,
that's a very good point.
people don't have to worry about sort of going on the padron. I know you hear people sort of worrying they go on the padron, they're going to pay more tax. It's got nothing to do with tax at all. You know, all they have to do is they get their NIE, they get their padron, they get their residencia, and then they get their zip card. They've got everything there that they would actually need, and then by that they can go and vote.
And make a difference.
And
that's
make
the
a
main
difference,
thing. It's
yeah.
making a difference because there's
It's
only
making a difference for themselves.
Well, this is it. It's,
You know.
in terms of CLARO, it's not just CLARO making a difference from themselves for Orihuela Costa. It's all of you guys to register properly and vote. Every vote counts, and it can make potentially a big difference.
Also, if they have any problems, all they have to do is get in touch with us.
Exactly.
And we'll do all we possibly can to help.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much help that we provide on CLAROGrupo.org, our website, plus our Facebook page and Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. You know, feel free to drop a message about anything, and we'll be more than happy to talk to you and
Yes.
Right.
help you out.
Yeah.
There's one thing that people who want to vote, you have to make sure you do your padron and residencia by the end of December to be eligible to vote.
For next year, is it May?
Next May.
May.
Yeah.
And it must be done by the end of December, otherwise you won't be eligible.
So the end of December 2018, you need to register your padron and residencia, so you have the right to vote.
And make sure you're on the register.
Yeah, yeah.
And make sure that you are actually on the
You have
register.
to ask to be put on the register.
Yeah, you have to ask to be on the register to vote. And obviously, in May 2019, there'll be the local votes.
My name is Roman, president of C.L.A.R.O, and I want to give you an example of how important this is. One of my neighbors doesn't bother about anything. He only wants to go to have a pint, to the beach, beautiful life. Last week at 3 o'clock in the morning, he was really ill. He knocked on my door and said, "I am very ill. Can you help me?" And I said, "Well, now call an ambulance." "Yes, I called it 1 hour ago."
Wow.
Then I had to take this person to the hospital, still in hospital. And my thing is, do you want to be that person in the future? Do you think that just by not registering to vote, you are at risk of being that person? Fight for Orihuela Costa and it will benefit you and your family.
Exactly.
Because obviously, with the correct funds that we could obtain with financial autonomy, we could potentially finish off the emergency centre a lot
Exactly,
more
yeah.
quicker, benefiting Orihuela Costa
This-
residents, non-residents, and visitors.
Indeed.
It's so
Yeah, but they've got the
important,
money
so
for the hospital,
important.
emergency centre. They've got the money.
I know, yeah.
We just
Yes.
got to wait for our mayor.
Mr. Bascariana
Mr.
need to sign a
Bascariana,
piece of
like-
paper, yes.
So-
So
Maybe-
the others, you just-
Maybe we should take some paper for him. Or a pen, maybe.
Well, all I can assume is that the mayor must be very, very, very busy.
if anybody's got any spare pens, bring it on because he's got a lot of paper to sign.
Yeah,
Yes, please bring pens every time.
the 4th of October, I will give him a piece of paper and a pen, and I will ask him to sign a piece of paper so that the emergency center can be built.
When the meeting is, if we all hold up a pen and take a picture, Mr. Bascariana,
A lot of people
Definitely.
don't realise
Can you
we've
sign
just
the
got to sign this bloody document.
Do not forget your pen.
Don't forget your pen. Okay, everyone, thank you for joining us in this episode of The Clear Point, a podcast from C.L.A.R.O. Hopefully we'll try and make this once a month or 2-3 times a month. We'll see what happens. But yes, if you're really interested or you have any questions or thoughts, just please send them to us through our website, clarogrupo.org, or the Facebook or Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn pages. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.